welcome back. It's Martine, and welcome back to my live podcast episode of Martine's Musings. And I want, before I bring on my guest, I just wanted to let everyone know that my book, You Love, You Learn, is out right now in stores and on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and on my website, martinefelton.com. So you can go ahead and get your copy. And also, I am selling these sweatshirts on my website, as you can see here with my book cover on them, and they're available on my website as well. So I'm bringing a guest on with me today. Her name is Lorrine Patterson. She is a fellow writer, just like me, and her new book, Freeing Your Heart to Love, is going to be available sometime in April. And so I'm going to bring her on right now. Hey, Lauren,
Hi, Martine.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How is everything going with you and the book?
It's going good. I got back my proofreads and I had over 300 proofread errors.
Wow.
I know. I was like, I thought I was done.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I'm almost done. It went back to layout and then I'm done. I'm really done. And I
So
just need
when is your book going to be released?
April 26th, my husband's birthday.
Oh, that's nice. And
Hmm.
you have I have a banner running down on the bottom there so everyone knows where to pre-order your book.
Thank you. And
You're welcome.
congratulations on your book. I can't wait to read it. Got my
Thank
copy.
you.
And I want to get a sweatshirt. I like the hoodie. I saw the hoodies on there
Yeah,
on your website.
there's sweatshirts, there are hoodies, t-shirts, a t-shirt.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna get the hoodie. I like the
okay,
hoodies.
yeah. Um, so let's get into you and your book and your story. What brought you to write your book?
Good question. So I had been talking about writing a book for over a decade, but never in a million years did I think I was going to write one. It was just kind of a joke with my friends, and I thought, everybody would hear my life experiences, and they would always say, "Oh, you should write a book. You should, you should do a movie about your life." Like people were fascinated with my experiences, but they were tough experiences that inside I was really sad and depressed. And so in April of last year, I joined a virtual writing workshop just for fun, just to do creative writing. I
Hmm.
started doing the writing prompts and I was just overwhelmed with so much emotion. I started crying. I didn't know where the emotion was coming from. And then I just, opened up my computer. Something was telling me to write a book. And I didn't know what kind of book. I just knew I wanted to write a book. And so I just started typing in April and I just, joined the writing challenge, I think like you. And I joined a community and I reached out to authors and I was just teaching myself basically to write a book. And I finished in my manuscript in December of last year.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, we did meet at the in the writers workshop.
Yes.
Um, so tell us a little bit more about what it is about, and you know yeah, what the your story about your story.
Yeah, so my book is it's a memoir. It's a narrative memoir. I was debating between doing a teaching memoir and just a entertaining memoir. And I thought I didn't feel like I was at the point where I could teach somebody something, but I knew that I wanted to inspire someone.
Hmm.
So I knew that I wanted to make it an inspirational memoir, but a lot of people were saying teaching memoirs sell more. I was like, well, I don't think I could teach anything at this point. So but I still wanted to do the book. So my book is in four parts. It's basically my first three marriages, and then my fourth part is my husband now and my transformation of my life into my true happiness and self love. But it's basically about overcoming some of life's greatest challenges: suicide, severe suicidal depression, my three failed marriages, but ultimately finding self love and true happiness in life, which took me 29 years.
Wow. So how did you get past all of your all of your experiences, all of the toxic experiences? How did you move from that? Because I remember a conversation you and I had. Maybe you said, you didn't um, have any therapy or take any
Mhm.
kind of medication
Yeah.
or what have you because you were depressed. How did you
Mhm.
get? How did you move past that?
It was tough. I didn't know what I was suffering from, and then I had babies, and I started getting this postpartum depression that women get, and I didn't know what I was suffering from, but I knew that I was really sad, and
Mhm.
I was looking for love mostly in men. And me and you talked about this, and I just was searching for love outside of myself for a very long time. And that
Yeah.
was getting me into a lot of trouble in my mind and in my body and my soul. And I didn't know what I was doing to myself. I was pretty much damaging my life over time. And so I just ran into people in my life that helped me see life differently. And I met somebody who showed me what affirmations was. And I searched online about affirmations, and Louise Hay came up, and we both follow Hay House. And she was the first person that I started following on affirmations. And I just started reading more about it, but I didn't believe it. I thought it
Right.
was BS, right? I'm like, how can you say this and it's going to come true? And I didn't believe anything about, oh, the universe can deliver if you just manifest it. I knew nothing about that, and I didn't believe it. And my friend just kept telling me, just write it down, put it up on your mirror, put things like, I am loved, I am worthy. And I was like, okay. I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, well, what is this going to do? Because I still had all those negative thoughts.
Yes.
And so I did it. And she said, whenever you get a negative thought, just say cancel, cancel. I remember her telling me that, cancel, cancel.
I heard that. I heard of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
like cancel it in your brain. And I'm like, so I tried it and it worked. It started working.
Hmm.
And then I discovered spirituality in Nichiren Buddhism, which is a spiritual practice I practice, which helps you see inside yourself and bring out your true happiness from within. And I started doing that, and I just dove into a lot of stuff along with therapy when I finally realized that I needed therapy after I almost took my life in my 30s.
Oh,
Um, but I didn't believe therapy at all. I thought it was for crazy people. And also, my second husband used to tell me that I was crazy
oh,
and that you should go see a therapist. So in my head, I was thinking, well, I'm not crazy because of what he said to me. It just kind
hmm,
of stuck with me. But
yes.
therapy, like, I realized it wasn't for crazy people. Like, it helped me get past all of those emotions I had, even as a child. Um,
Yeah.
I really think one counselor told me the day after I almost took my life, I went to go see her, and she said, "If you take your life, you will break your children." And that just stuck with me. And I said, I don't want to break my children because I was a broken child, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to repeat that cycle because I know what I went through and still was going through, and I didn't want my boys to go through that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just did a lot of that, and just now I meditate. Now into the future, I'm
Hmm.
meditating now, which I never thought I would ever meditate.
And how is the Buddhism? How do you pronounce
Nichiren Buddhism.
Nichiren Buddhism? And how has
Mhm.
that um you know come into, like, what are your self-care practices? Because I know meditation is one of them. And
Mm.
what else aside from your spirituality that you do to take care of yourself, to nurture yourself, to keep yourself in the right space?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when I wake up in the morning, I try not to go to my social media.
Hmm.
And I have an app on my phone, the Secret app, with Rhonda Byrne. And on that app, there's affirmations on there that I can read. And so try to read affirmations or a positive quote the first thing when I wake up, because that kind of gets me going for the day. And then
Yeah.
I get up and I have this routine. I love making my husband coffee, and I
Hmm.
love the smell of coffee. So I make coffee for my husband. And then when he leaves for work, now we're juicing. So we threw that into the mix. So we're doing fresh juice now because I don't eat a
Okay.
lot of vegetables and fruit.
Hmm.
So we're doing that. But then when he leaves, then I do my meditation, I do my Buddhism practice. And then after that, I'm just go, right? I'm just working then for the rest of the day. Um, but depends on how I feel. If I go through certain things that is challenging me at the moment, I'll either meditate longer or I'll journal or
Hmm.
something, to get my mind calm, or
Yeah.
I'll open up my back window and look at my hummingbirds and appreciate nature. So it's those kind of things that kind of help me change
Right.
my mindset.
How deep are you into the Buddhism? I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was introduced to Buddhism. It was a young lady. We were in college class together, and she was a Buddhist, and she gave me a book, and I forgot the title, but I was like, so it made so much sense to me
Hmm.
because the teachings and the the way they thought about the way they took on life, the
Hmm.
mindset
Hmm.
made so much sense to me. um but and it makes more sense to me now because I found out, fast forward now, like in my past life I was a Tibetan monk, so that's why I was like, yes, this is why I absorbed this information
Hmm.
so well. So how deeply are you in in your practice?
Yeah, it's been so I met a guy who introduced me to it because when you're born into it, they call it shakabuku, which
Okay.
means your family was a part of it and then you just were born into it. So he was
Mhm.
born into it. And I met him in the 80s when my first husband went to prison. I felt like I was finally released from prison. And this was a guy I met while my husband was in prison.
Wow.
Um, I now know why I met him was because I needed to be introduced to this practice. It was, I forgot, in the 80s sometime,
Hmm.
but he introduced me to it. And at first I was practicing for him because I was the type of girl to always do what other guys wanted. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted, if they liked the Raiders, I liked the Raiders. If they want
Yeah.
basketball, I liked basketball,
Hmm.
even though I hated it, you know? And so I was that girl. And so after we broke up, I stuck with it and I said, you know what? I still want that true happiness that this practice could give me. And I started connecting with people other members who practice also. And they were very, very nice. Everybody was welcoming. They were open arms,
Hmm.
very supportive. And we studied together. And, you study the Gosho, which is the teachings of the Buddhism. And I just stuck with it, but then it started coming in and out of my life since the 80s because I was getting in relationships with guys that didn't support it. And so here I was again, pushing it to the side because I
Right.
wanted the guy to be happy, and I boxed up my they call it a gohanzen. So you enshrine it and you put it on your wall, and that's what you chant to, and you practice to the. It's like a mirror of your life,
Right.
and it's a scroll, and I boxed it up and I forgot about it sometimes for years, but
Hmm.
somehow it always came back in my life at the right time when I needed it.
Yep.
So it came back into my
Right.
life when I almost took my life in my 30s, and then it went away, and it came back when I was with an alcoholic and I was trying to get out of that relationship. I was losing my hair, Martine, because I was so stressed out from this
Hmm.
relationship that I
Hmm.
would get up in the morning and chunks of hair would be on my pillow because I was crying so much. I was like, why am I back in this toxic relationship? And
Hmm.
I pulled out my Buddhist practice again and I just started practicing and I got away from him. I got the strength. It gives you the strength and the courage to get out of what's not serving you.
Yeah.
And and then, it went away again and I pulled it out just recently, which once again came back at the right time because it was when I was writing my book. And I pulled it out to help my son because my son is going through some depression right now. He's 18.
Hmm.
And I said, why don't you start practicing Buddhism? At first, it was for him. Now he doesn't want to do it. And
Hmm.
then it turned out being for me
For
because I
you.
needed it again. And I
That
just,
was the universe's way of bringing it back to you.
yeah, it always comes back to me. And
Mhm.
I just, at the right time, and I was crying in front of it one day because I was like, I can't believe that I let it go because it's such a beautiful practice and it has truly helped me like get through some really tough times in my life.
Yeah, I believe you. Why do you? I mean, we both have similar situations where we kind of were people pleasing and
Mhm.
like that. Why do you think you accepted unacceptable treatment?
Gosh, I was so desperate to be loved, and so I would always always put myself to the side. And if I didn't want to do something, I had no respect for myself or my body, more importantly, especially in this third marriage that really broke me.
Yeah.
I had no value. I thought, this is my life, right? This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, because I didn't know any better. And I thought, there's nothing else out there. All the guys are like this. That was my whole thinking,
That's
was
what I
like,
thought
every
too.
man is like this.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I think that's what a lot of women think. Like,
Yeah.
we can't do any better, or,
Mhm.
all men are like this, so we have to put up with
Mhm.
certain treatment. But when it's totally, that's not the case. And that's something I never, want to pass on to my daughters. So I think
Mhm.
that's why I'm so passionate about, the self-love mindset and self-care
Yes.
practices and doing things, because I I've gotten into, one of my self-care practices is art. Like, I've always
Mhm.
liked art since I was a kid. I used to love to go to museums and things, and took art classes, art history. But now it's like, I can watch a YouTube video of someone painting. It calms me so much. And when I do art journaling now, and
Oh,
a little
nice.
bit I'm dabbling into painting. I just don't have the space to spread my
Mhm.
wings like I want to. But it's that has really become a major self care practice for me. It
Mm.
calms me so much. And then, and it kind of like just keeps me at a even keel. And I
Mhm.
even go to sleep well. And I even have like vivid dreams after
Mhm.
I've done art. And I think it has a
Mhm.
lot to do with like visualization.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, visualization. I've been tapping into that a lot with the meditation I do.
Me too.
It's
I've been trying.
amazing.
It's hard.
It's
It's been
amazing.
hard because
Yeah, it's hard.
when I meditate, all I see is black. You know,
Oh, okay.
so with like maybe hints of light coming
Mhm.
in from wherever, but it's basically dark. So I
Mm.
kind of have to not force myself, but really think about, okay, I want to see like an ocean.
Mhm.
And when I say it out loud, then I'll see the ocean. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So trying to visualize things. And the other day I was meditating and I was like, all right, I want to see my dream house. I want to see my dream custom
Mm.
built home. And then it took about 3 minutes for me to actually see all the rooms. And I was like, I'm going to walk through it right now. And it happened. Visualized it.
That's so awesome.
But
Do you do guided meditations or just silence?
I do both. It's
Okay.
the guided ones. It depends on the person's voice.
Mm.
Because if the voice is irritating, I can't do
Mhm.
it.
Yep. I know.
um,
I hear you.
but there is one particular girl on YouTube who has the most soothing voice where I could do her guided meditations. Her name is Pure Rasa. That's the name of
Mm.
her channel.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yes, Pura Rasa. And her voice is just, oh my God, she puts me to sleep.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I
yes.
know. You're right about the voice. I started doing one guided meditation with somebody, but he was too hyper. I was like,
Mhm.
dude, this isn't working for me. But yeah.
So tell me about like, you said that in the book it goes through your marriages and stuff like
Mm.
that. Which one was really the one that was like, okay, that's it. Something's got to give here.
Yeah, that was the third husband. And I know you read my first chapter, and the
Yes,
prologue.
yes.
The prologue is part of that third part in my book,
Hmm.
which was the hardest part to write. I mean, I haven't seen or talked to that guy. He actually passed away last year,
Wow.
within 3 months of my first husband. So my first part of my book and the third part, those guys are both, they passed away. Yeah, last year,
Oh my God.
within 3 months.
If they
And
were alive, would they be like hating you right now for writing this book?
oh yeah, they were the worst. Martine, they were the worst part of my book. And
Oh
I
my
truly believe, I think about this because I truly believe the universe put me to write my book last year, because the universe knew those two guys were not going to be around and they weren't going to come after me, because the third husband for
God. Mhm.
sure would have came after me, for
Wow.
sure.
Wow.
because he had that personality. He
Mhm.
was very controlling and
Mhm.
angry, and yeah, he wouldn't have settled for me to just release a book. There's no way. But yeah, I mean, the third husband was the one that really kind of woke me up. That was at the age of 42, and man, I had no more left in me. You know,
Mhm.
he had this when I met him. We shouldn't have married to begin with. There was a lot of red flags. I was always ignoring red flags with guys. I always made
Yeah,
excuses for them and
me too.
oh, they're gonna get better. They're gonna love
Mhm.
me. It's okay. But it didn't get better. He had a crazy ex-wife. His ex-wife made our life hell.
Mhm.
She was part of the problem, but then they were having this side thing, which I shouldn't have even, it became this competition for me. Like, oh, I have to win his heart. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And it was crazy. It was like psycho stuff. You know, I write about it in my book. It's like, what the heck was wrong with me? But I was so desperate that I was like, I got to hang on to this guy because no one's going to want me.
Right.
So I held on, held on, held on, and then he asked me to marry me in the most unconventional, unromantic way ever, and with no ring. And because I was so flattered, you know, I'm like, oh, okay. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, I finally won. I won. You know,
Mhm.
he's gonna marry me. So I married him, and then immediately after, probably like a month after we were married, I found out he had this illicit fantasy.
Okay.
And he wanted me basically, the fantasy is called cuckolding, which
Mhm.
is he wanted me to make love to other men in front of him.
Mhm.
And I thought it was just going to be a one time thing. People have fantasies. Okay, one
Yeah.
time, let's just do it because I didn't want him to be upset and I wanted to make him happy. So I was like, okay, what harm could it do? I've never done that in my life.
Mhm.
But when I did it, it was like I didn't feel good at all.
Mhm.
And I didn't ever want to do that again.
Mhm.
And he said, "Oh, this guy wants to do it again. He wants to be a regular." I'm like, "Regular? Where's the regular coming from?" You know, and at that point I was like, "What did I get myself into?"
Mhm.
And he was doing the searching for these guys. He was sending me pictures of them. They were coming to our house randomly without me knowing. One guy came into the shower with me while I was taking a shower, and I was forced to be I actually turned into someone that I changed her name in my head. I was like, I'm not this person. I'm not Lorrine.
Right.
Because that's who I had to be for him.
Right.
And it broke me. I mean, after 6 months of marriage, I left him while he was at work because I knew I didn't have the strength to leave him
Right.
like
You had.
willingly. I
Yeah.
had to leave him while he was at work. There was no other way. I wasn't strong enough, but I
Mhm.
couldn't continue to have these encounters with these strange men.
Mhm.
I didn't even know their name, Martine. I mean, it was like he literally I felt like a prostitute. If I don't know what it feels like, but that's
Wait,
what I felt like.
was he collecting like compensation from
I
these
have
men?
no idea, you know, and I'll never know.
Right.
I think he just felt like he couldn't take care of me maybe sexually, and he just thought these other men were going to take care of me, but he would get mad if I looked like I was enjoying it. And it was like, but you wanted me to do this. So it was this back
That
and
is so
forth
strange.
like mentality of like, oh, what are you doing? And it's like, well, you wanted me to do that. And then he wanted to start swinging. And I'm like, oh, whoa, whoa, no, I'm not into swinging. And
Right.
that's when I just finally put my foot down and I said, I have to get out of this because I started slipping back into that depression of
Mhm.
suicide. I was
Right.
like, wow, this is shameful. I felt dirty. I would take showers and I would cry. And I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't want to talk to anybody. The fact that I'm talking about it and put it in a book is like,
This
I
you're
never,
so brave.
I never was going to talk about it ever.
I think that you are so brave and blessings to you for telling your story
Thank you.
because people are going to judge you. How
Mhm.
are you prepared to deal with that?
Yeah, that's something that I've thought really long and hard about. And
Mhm.
my editor actually told me because I've been getting a little bit of discouragement of people not accepting my story.
Okay.
Um, but my editor said, you know, along with the good will come the bad.
Right.
Sometimes I might trigger someone who is going through that and doesn't want to even like attack it, you know, like challenge themselves to that.
Yeah.
So you might upset people with this. And I said, you know what? If I can help, more people, then I upset more people, then this is the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I really like, that's why I believe that the practice came back into my life, because it's helping me build up the strength that once the book releases, like I am going to probably get some people that are going to say bad things, or, things that are not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm just going to send them love, like me and you both come up from a place of love. And I feel like I'm not going to invite that energy into my
Yeah.
life. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to project good thoughts. But I feel like if there's women out there that are doing this and they don't want to, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I could be the voice for them to finally, leave if they want to leave. And if you like that lifestyle, good, that's okay. But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for me. It definitely wasn't for me. It literally like stripped my soul.
Yeah, definitely. I can see how that would. Do you are is your family? Do you have family members who are supportive or unsupportive or
I
um?
don't talk to my family at all. My mom and dad were both mentally and verbally abusive, so I had to kind of put my family to the side and not talk to them, especially
Okay.
while writing this book,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't have approved of it. And most of this stuff, they didn't even know I was going through any of this. I never shared
Yeah.
it with anyone. I suffered alone. I was alone a lot by myself
Mhm.
crying. It was not good
Mhm.
times.
Well, I think that, like I said before, I think that you're really brave for putting out your story, and you will help. The way things happen, the way things transpire, it's like the universe had you write this book.
Mhm.
Your two of your ex-husbands passed away because they would have been the
Yeah.
like really hard to deal with right now, and you never want to wish death on anyone, but that's a part of life, is death.
Mhm.
And so I think that you're really brave for telling your story, and blessings and kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you. And like the world needs more of us, right? Like light
Mhm.
workers. Like I
Right.
think now is the time. This came at the right time, because I mean, there's people at home with their abusers, right? There's people that are stuck home and they don't have any way out.
Hmm.
And I even want to donate my book to maybe some of the women's correctional facilities, and just change people, like especially women, change their perspective of love. Like you
Right.
don't need a man, you don't have to give your body to a man to feel loved or to be
Right.
loved. You don't have to do that, because I met my husband now, and
Hmm.
he doesn't require any of that from me.
How's that? Let's shed some light on that. How did you move from toxic spaces to positive space?
That was hard. So, even after, and I write about this in my book too, but even after I left my third husband,
Hmm.
I still was involved with unavailable men. I still didn't learn that lesson that I needed to
Yes.
learn. But when I finally did, the lessons, like the guys that I was meeting, I was seeing the red flags faster. And so I was kind of pushing them to the side, because I was like, it's not worth it. I don't want that for my life. And that's what
Hmm.
I kept saying to myself. And so when I kept conditioning my mind to that, I started dating myself,
Hmm.
went on trips by myself,
Oh, that's good.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Like that's hard to go by yourself as a woman. I mean, that's hard.
I tried that. I did the dating myself a couple of times. Went to the movies by myself.
Yeah. It's nice, right?
It is nice. I actually, yes, I enjoyed. I went to a club by
Oh,
myself.
see, you're brave. I didn't go to a club.
Yes. This was like early 2000s, 90s. I would go to clubs by myself for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
you're brave. See, I didn't do that. I barely went to the movies. The movies was hard for me. Even though, nobody cares, nobody's
Yeah.
looking at you,
True.
but it's
Yeah.
like I'm alone. I don't have anybody.
But in a club, no one can tell if you're by yourself or not.
Yeah, that's
Because,
true.
you walk into like a hip hop club, nobody knows
Mhm.
that you're there alone. You're dancing all
It's
night
true.
drinking. For all they knew, my girlfriends or whatever could have been sitting
Yeah.
down there in the ladies' room. So
Yeah, that's so true.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I
that's
mean, how I moved past it, I just did that. And then a psychic actually told me I was going to meet my husband. She said, if you didn't meet him by the end of 2017 or the beginning of 2018, like you would
mm-hmm.
never meet him. And
Mm-hmm.
I met him in October of 2017. But I met him when my heart was whole again. And that's how I came up with that title, Freeing Your Heart for Love. And my book cover with the chains is because literally, like, my heart was chained by my own chains. And I basically, it had to break wide open before I could allow that love that I deserved in.
Hmm. I meant to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up because I always felt like that was a really, really good cover. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, freeing your heart for love. I get it.
Mhm. You
Yeah.
know how I came up with that title? It was just one weekend in Napa. I woke up, and you probably know this too as a writer, but when things download to you, you just got
Yeah.
to get up out of bed. So I got up out of bed, and for an hour, the three words that I woke up with was free your voice. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, free your voice, free your voice. That's not a book title. But then I was playing with it, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
freeing your heart for love, because I really wanted love in the title, and I
Yeah.
really wanted that red heart to be profound, because it really is all about my heart and finding self-love for myself that I never even knew. I mean, it took me 29 years to get there, and it's just crazy to think that it took me that long.
Mm-hmm.
But I got there. Some people never find it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always feel like there's no expiration date in
Yeah.
your journey. You know what I mean? If even if you were 60 years old,
Yeah.
you are meant to go through that when you're going through that and get to it, at 60,
Mhm.
but it does feel like for me, I feel like I'm going to be 50 and I'm starting to be just starting at the beginning of being clear about what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, why
Yeah.
couldn't this happen when I was 25? But
Yeah.
at 25, I wasn't ready.
Mhm.
I
You're
was
right.
not, I was going through the stuff in my book at 25 years old. I was
Mhm.
looking for love in all the wrong places. So I was not ready to do this, to help people, to
Yeah.
be an intuitive, to be a light worker, or any of that.
Yeah.
Like my heart was not there. So I would say that to you. That's why, like, you're ready now to do this. Like,
I am. I definitely am, and it just came at the right time. I mean, my job that I have, we both have our regular jobs, and
mhm,
my job allowed me to, and the whole pandemic, like staying home and working from home, like it
yes,
just helped me tremendously. But I
it
think
did.
about, like, what if I was depressed in this pandemic? What if I was that girl, that almost took her life in her 30s, like right now, or
Mhm.
with an abusive man? I don't think I would have made it out of the pandemic. I would not have made it. I
This
know that for a
pandemic
fact.
has allowed me to when I'm home to juggle home, kids, and my
Mhm.
personal endeavors all in one space. It's a lot,
Yeah.
yes, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was going to an office every day, and the
Yes.
dynamic is just different.
Mhm.
So this you when you're here all day and you're able to juggle these things. So
Mhm.
it was a lot, yes, but I'm glad. I feel blessed at the same time that I was able to put out my book throughout all of this that's
Yes.
going on in the world.
Yeah, me too. I'm very blessed, and I can make my kids breakfast and they're so happy. I never made them breakfast. They was always waffles in the toaster. It was
Yeah,
like, we got to go. We got to run. I got to get to work.
yeah, exactly. And my daughter says that to me too. That's so funny you said that. And when they go to bed, and she's like, "I'll see you tomorrow for
I
breakfast."
know. It's just warms my
I'm like,
heart.
"Aw."
It's
Well,
so
it's been
cute.
been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say, or is there a message that you want to convey about your book, and any last words before we wrap up?
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're very
I've
welcome.
been like emotional lately sharing my story. I don't know why. I think because I'm coming near the end of
Yes,
the book,
yes,
and I'm just like, what is happening to me right now? But yeah, I just want to thank you for sharing my story, and for people who are out there who are struggling with just any type of challenge. Just know that you can get through it. You just have to condition your mind to move beyond the negative, which is not easy. You could do the baby steps, but you will get there, because both me and you, right, Martine, we were there, and we overcame it. I mean, I almost took my life. To think that I almost took my life, I wouldn't even be here today. But
exactly.
you can move past, even, like, don't even worry about what kind of life you had, right? Because my parents were so abusive, and you're not a product of your past. You know, you could move to the future and you could live in joy and love and abundance.
Okay. Well, on that note, I would like to thank everyone who is watching, and thank you. Who was watching? I didn't even look at the comments.
We're too much into our conversation.
I know. Well, thank you for those who were watching, and I will be back with another episode in a couple of weeks of a live podcast of Martine's Musings.